we go, let's get those wheels out on the road. It may get dusty, but that's the way she goes. We'll build some greasy old cars and drink our AGD. Hey, don't you know, it's partly built.
Alright, so today, brought the fuel tank to work. Pulled out the level sender and pickup tube. Pulled the sock off. Drilled a hole, and I brazed in a second tube for my feed, and I'm going to use the original as the return to the tank. And then I have a pump I saved off of a 2015 5-liter that the tank was drilled on, so the pump was still good. And I'm going to get that mounted on there. I got a hole here I'll put the wires through, and then I'll just epoxy everything up here to make sure everything's good. And the inside of this tank is perfect, like no rust at all, which is amazing. So yeah, I'm gonna get that hopefully all in, and it's gonna be a fight because I gotta put the pump in first, then bring it up, and then put the line on so that everything can fit through the hole, but I'll get it figured out. And then the bearing kit showed up today for the diff, so I gotta go pick that up, and maybe tomorrow I can get the diff put together. Okay, so myself and someone much smarter than me got the diff all reassembled, got the gears in, checked the pattern, got the backlash set, preload's good. It's all torqued up. I just got to put the pinion snubber back on the front of the housing, and she's ready to go back in the car. So now I have 457 gears. Alright, so I have the drive shaft from the Galaxie and one of the drive shafts from Steven's truck when it had the ZF. So I need to put this yoke on this shaft and probably have the length of the shaft shortened, I'm guessing. But at the very least I need to get this yoke off this shaft and make sure that it will fit this. So get a crossover U-joint, or maybe this is the right U-joint, I'm not sure yet. Anyway, I'm going to probably put new U-joints in both ends of the shaft anyway, especially if I have to have it shortened. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll throw them in the vise, and I'll get them ripped apart. We got both apart. So I did some measuring. This yoke is a 1350, this yoke is a 1330. So I'm going to have to just get a crossover U-joint from this to this, and I'll put a new U-joint in the other end, and then I'll just put this with that transmission when I sell it. Alright, so I did a little more playing around with my release here, and I just ended up drilling 2 new holes and clocking it so that the pressure line and the bleed line are now coming through here nicely through the open hole. I did open the top up a little more, but then I put a little rubber hose on them so they're not rubbing. I got a remote bleed line and a 3-foot pressure line, so hopefully that's long enough. I got a roll of line, 3/8 copper nickel tubing to do my fuel line, and my PDM showed up. So I'm ready to actually start wiring on the car if I go back out there, probably after work one day this week. And if I ever get a flywheel, I can get the flywheel and clutch figured out, and then I can make sure that my squish on my release bearing is correct. Okay, the engine, not much has changed. I found a set of used plug wires because that's the best. I just remounted the stock alternator for now because I don't have a 1-wire Chevy alternator in my stash unless I go up to my parents', and I'm just not doing that right now. So all this mess is here, ready to go on. I found a little fuel line in my kit of pieces so that when I go grab the nitrous and fuel solenoids off Josh's car, I can plumb them correctly. I'll just have in on this side, and then this side can go straight to the fuel solenoid flowing through the fuel injection throttle body. Other than that, I haven't done anything else. I was going to pull the fuel pump off it and put a block off plate, but I threw my block off plate out, and it was a Chevy one anyway, so it had extra bolts, and who knows if the pattern was even right. So I just put that back on. It'll be fine. I did locate a 4-wheel drive truck pan and pickup tube if I need them, and the guy also has a flywheel. He said I can have it all for $100 if I pull the stuff myself. And if my flywheel doesn't ship soon, I might just go get all those parts, because then I have it and we have options. But anyway, in the meantime, it's pretty much good to go as it sits. I'll have to get new belts for it. I have one new belt. I think it's probably the power steering pump belt, and then I'll just have to get a new alternator belt. But other than that, I got a little bit of wiring on the factory harness to the distributor, and then it's time to install the PDM and all the harness for the fuel injection. And I'm also going to make new cables for the starter and the main ground, because as you can see, the ends that were on them were done pretty poorly. I don't know if I did those or if those were on there when we got the car, but they were obviously done in a rush and they weren't done right. Hopefully my fuel pump shows up tomorrow and we can get that mounted in the tank. And then I'll catch up with you then. Okay, so got a shipment today from Aces. I got their tight fit in-tank pump. I've already kind of shortened it and fit it. You're supposed to drop it in straight from the top, but I don't have that option because my tank sits in the car like, well, I got screws on top, but it sits like this, and I can't access the top. So we're gonna try going in through the side here. I've already drilled the hole, cleaned the tank out, put their ring and everything in, shortened this up, hooked up the lines, put the sock on. So this is ready to go in now. And I tried getting a hold of the tech line to ask them if I could mount it this way, if their seal would be fuel tight. I don't think they understood what I was trying to do. They were super helpful, like they're right on it right away, answered right away. Like if I asked another question, they got back to me right away. They put me in, customer service put me in contact with actual tech support, so that was all good. But I don't think they understood. I don't think I could tell them what I was trying to do well enough. So now we're going to get this in the tank, bolted in as tight as we can, and I guess we're going to find out when we go to put fuel to it if it's going to leak, and if it does, I'll have to epoxy it or something, but we'll see how well this wants to work. Although this is going to be a nightmare to get back out with this giant fuel sock, but I wanted to put the big sock in because it's going to help a lot more with fuel slosh. So, and hopefully I've got it mounted in a spot where we can get to them fairly easy, but we're gonna have to see. I'm sure no one will be able to see a ding dang thing in there, but the fuel sock is pretty much like 1/8 off the tank, just like they want. And there's lots of, it's tough to see, but if I look in there really good, there's the return tube goes down and off to the side, which is what you want. So I'm happy with that. I don't know how tight I was supposed to go on this stuff, but it's tight. I didn't go till things broke, so I didn't fully commit, but it should be good enough. I guess I never really said, but I did film a little bit where I was trying to put the pump on the factory pickup and fuel sender, and I added the extra line and I had the pump on it and everything, but I couldn't get the sock to stay on the pump, and my line wouldn't go on proper, and my electrical was giving me crap. So I ended up just cutting the tube off inside, plugging the end of both of these lines, and epoxying over the hole I had drilled for the wiring, and then of course buying this in-tank setup because I was really getting angry with myself because that should have been a lot easier than it was. And so I ended up paying the price and having to spend, I don't know, what was it? After the extra $100 and some in shipping that they nailed me with for brokerage and tariffs, I think I'm almost $500 into the cheap in-tank pump, but that's what I get for, you know, messing up the easy job and having to do it the right way. So at this point, I think I'm ready to go back out there, get the fuel tank, well, I'll drop the fuel tank off. I've got all the wiring for the EFI, and I got to mount a clutch pedal of some sort. So I have 2 Willwood pedals that I bought for the 49, but I'm going to see if I can get them mounted, one of them mounted in there, and either leave the wide automatic brake pedal or narrow it or whatever. Doesn't matter. But get that done, get some of the wiring started, get my PDM mounted, my ECU mounted, start running the wiring in the cab. I got a new key, I got a new ignition assembly. I don't know if I have all the trim pieces still, but I got some of it from when they tried to break in the car. I had to get a new one. So I can get that all mounted. or working somewhat. And we'll see. I have some suspension parts for the Crown Vic front end. I got a strut and 2 inner tie rods. I may or may not get that done right away, but I can maybe go out to Josh's tomorrow night. We'll see how things go and get started on that. So I don't know how long this is so far, so maybe this is the end, maybe it isn't, but thanks for watching to this point anyway, and we'll see you there.